Hey guys, it is MattySports bringing you my Week 9 predictions of the 2014 college football season. Last week in Week 8, I went 8-2, did pretty above average compared to my usual 7-3. The games I missed were Kansas State over Oklahoma. Kansas State won that. I picked Oklahoma. And I missed my upset special where Virginia lost to Duke by a touchdown. So both games were really close. That could have been the first time I could have ever gone 10-0 in a week. I've never done that. And I was an extra point and a touchdown away, so about 8 points away from getting a 10-0 record. But other notable games, Alabama destroyed Texas A&M. TCU handled Oklahoma State easily. Arizona State beat Stanford. And the game of the week last week, Florida State beat Notre Dame on what people call a controversial penalty. In terms of my opinion, yes, it was a blown coverage. It probably should have been a touchdown, but the Notre Dame receivers were clearly holding on to the defensive backs and just blocking before the ball was even thrown, so that has to be called. So it's unfortunate for Notre Dame if they just sort of not held on to him, maybe just run and then drop back and put their hands up as if they're going to receive that. Then the touchdown probably would have counted, but they just executed poorly. But Florida State escaped, so congratulations to Florida State. Great game by both teams. But that was Week 8, and now we're on to Week 9, where I have 10 more games, and the first game is a Thursday night matchup in the ACC, and that is Miami, Florida, traveling on the road to Virginia Tech. Now, I can pretty much flip a coin on this. It's kind of hard for me to pick. I was leaning towards Miami at first, but I'm going to have to pick Virginia Tech just because Virginia Tech is such a tough team to play at home on a Thursday nights, so I'll take Virginia Tech at home. Next, we have a rivalry matchup of Michigan traveling on the road to number 8 Michigan State. Now, Michigan's just god-awful this year. Brady Hoke, he might get fired. He's kind of in the same boat as Will Muschamp at Florida. Michigan State's been on a roll ever since they lost to Oregon, and they're at home, so this is an easy pick for me. I'll take Michigan State at home. Next, we have an SEC matchup of number 1 Mississippi State traveling on the road to Kentucky. Now, Kentucky, they're doing pretty good this year. They're doing a lot better than people thought they would be. But, I mean, no one thought Mississippi State would be the number 1 ranked team in the country. So, it's an easy game for me to pick. I'll take Mississippi State on the road to win. And as you can tell by a couple of these predictions, there aren't that many great games this week. Definitely a drop-off from the past few weeks. So, not as many ranked games this week, but it doesn't matter. Games are games. And next, we have another SEC matchup of South Carolina traveling on the road to number 5 Auburn. Now, preseason, this could have been a potential top 10 matchup, but South Carolina, they were overrated in the preseason. They're not that great. They somehow beat Georgia. I don't know how, but South Carolina's overrated, and they have to travel on the road to Auburn. So, it's, again, another easy game for me to pick. I'll take Auburn at home. Next, we have another SEC matchup of number 4 Alabama traveling on the road to Tennessee in a rivalry game. Now, I want to put so much faith in Tennessee. I had hopes for them, but every time they've come out to play, they've just lost so close to winning. And they are at home, but I still can't go for the upset here. I'm going to have to go with Alabama just because they looked so dominant last week against Texas A&M. And Alabama's dominated this rivalry for the past decade, so I'm going to have to pick Alabama to win this game. Next, we have a Big Ten matchup of number 13 Ohio State traveling on the road to Penn State. Now, in the beginning of the season, Penn State was a pretty good team. Ohio State has only lost 1 game to Virginia Tech at home, which I still don't know how they lost, but ever since that game, Ohio State's been looking really dominant, and Penn State's been raising some questions. So, even though Penn State's at home, and it's going to be a Sunday night game, and I'm sure it's going to be a whiteout where it's just going to be a bunch of white shirts around that stadium in Happy Valley, I'm still going to have to take Ohio State on the road just because JT Barrett has improved so much at the quarterback position since the beginning of the year. Next, we have a Pac-12 matchup of number 20 USC traveling on the road to number 19 Utah. Again, this is another coin flip game for me. I mean, it's 20 versus 19. It's almost as close as you can get. Both teams in the Pac-12. Utah's been surprisingly really good this year. They've been better than people thought they would be. USC's kind of been the same too. I think both these teams only have 1 loss. Maybe USC might have 2 losses, but I think they both only have 1 loss. But it's a hard game for me to pick. I'll take USC. to win this game on the road, just because they've been playing really dominant the past couple weeks. They beat Arizona 2 weeks ago, so I'm gonna have to take USC on the road. But it's a tough game. It's really close. I think it's even at Las Vegas, the line, so it's a coin flip, but I'll take USC on the road. Next, we have a Big 12 matchup of number 22 West Virginia traveling on the road to Oklahoma State. West Virginia coming off of the huge upset. I forgot to mention that last week. West Virginia upset Baylor at West Virginia. So Baylor went from number 4 to I think about number 13, I think. I'm not sure, but Clint Trickett, he's been having a monster season this year. So many games right now where he's thrown over 300 passing yards, if not 350. West Virginia's passing offense is just fantastic. Oklahoma State's coming off of a beatdown against TCU last week where they just got totally slaughtered. And without their starting quarterback at the beginning of the season for Oklahoma State, I think his name was TJ Walsh or something Walsh, Blair Walsh. He's a great quarterback. They don't have him. They were playing great without him this season, but after seeing how they've performed against TCU, I'm going to have to go with West Virginia just because they're coming off of an upset win, and the veteran quarterback of Clint Trickett just passes the ball amazingly, so I'll take West Virginia on the road. Next, we have my upset special. Now, this one's kind of a reach. Probably not going to happen, but I couldn't find anything else better that could seem possible. And that is number 14 Arizona State traveling on the road to Washington. Washington's coming off of a loss to Oregon, and Arizona State's coming off of a pretty convincing win against Stanford. Now, the only reason why I'm picking this is because Washington's at home, and Arizona State's a good team, but I still think they're kind of wishy-washy, so I'm going to take a chance and go with Washington at home for the upset. It's probably not going to happen, but that's the only close of an upset I could think that could actually be possible. And lastly, we have the game of the week where College Game Day will be going to, and they will be going to Baton Rouge, Louisiana for number 3 Ole Miss traveling on the road to number 24 LSU. LSU, kind of like South Carolina, they've been a little overhyped. They have won their past couple games, so they are crawling back in it. Ole Miss is still undefeated. They're one of the 4 teams undefeated still, alongside with Mississippi State, Florida State, and the Thundering Herd of Marshall. So, if only Marshall, I could pick one of their games, but I can't because they don't play anybody, so that'll probably never happen. But Ole Miss, Bo Wallace, their defense has been really just fantastic. I really hope Ole Miss stays undefeated alongside Mississippi State, because I just think a 1 versus 2 Mississippi State-Ole Miss matchup at the end of the season would just be amazing. Even if Florida State's undefeated, going into the Florida game, if Florida State drops number 3, I'd be perfectly fine, because just seeing a number 1, number 2 in the battle of the state of Mississippi, that's just unheard of. That'd be awesome. So I'm going to take Ole Miss just because I want that to happen. I think Ole Miss is the better team. Even though they have to travel to Death Valley, well, guess what? Mississippi State traveled to Death Valley too, and they put a beat down on LSU until LSU almost made that comeback in the 4th quarter. But I'll pick Ole Miss on the road just because I think LSU's a little overrated still. So I'll take Ole Miss. But that has been my Week 9 predictions. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Any of the games of this week that interest you, games that I covered, games I didn't cover, let me know. Anyway, guys, this has been MattySports, and I'll see you guys next week for Week 10. See you guys then.